Okay, we're going to get into Chris Bowen, his new name as the Grinch who might be stealing Christmas. To discuss, you can now meet the latest Liberal to be pre-selected to take on the Teals. James Brown has been pre-selected for the seat of Mackellar. Great to see. Oh, we've just lost James for a sec. He'll be back in a minute, I'm sure. This is Bronwyn Bishop's old seat, so he'll try and unseat Sophie Scomps. And we're also going to bring in Menzies Research Centre Executive Director Dave Hughes. Great to see you, Dave.
Hi, Sharri.
Look, Peter Dutton today launched an attack on Labor for breaking their promise to reduce power bills by $275. We played those comments a little earlier in the show. Look, at the same time, the Daily Telegraph is asking readers to submit their best Christmas light displays in the suburb. This is an annual favourite where people drive from all over Sydney. I'm sure it's the case in other cities as well. People drive from all over to see the homes with the most spectacular Christmas light displays. But Dave, there's concerns that given how high people's power bills are, many families won't be able to afford to do this.
I think it was actually 3 years ago to the day, Sharri, that Anthony Albanese first promised power bills would be reduced by $275 a year. Now, that was a promise that didn't match his policies because his policies have actually driven up power prices. And what we've seen is less baseload power in the market, reliable baseload power that coal, gas and nuclear could provide. And we've got intermittent renewables filling that gap. Power prices have gone up and families are taking decisions to cut costs. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of families out there in the suburbs who are taking those decisions not to maybe scale down their Christmas lights displays this year.
And not to mention, James, we're being told that on hot days we shouldn't be running our dishwasher past 3 p.m. Well, what's the state government going to say about these Christmas light displays?
Well, Sharri, my neighbour's got the Christmas lights up already. The gauntlet has been thrown down and I'm well behind. But that's the decision we have to make. We've got a grid that is increasingly fragile. Can we run the air conditioning that we need? Can we run the Christmas lights? Can we run the fridge? And can we pay for it all? And that's the challenge that families are looking at as we go into Christmas. This is a tough time for families that are not where they want to be economically, that are facing the pressure of higher interest rates, who are looking at how they're going to afford presents. And we're here because of the policies of the government. They've led us to this point.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. And, I just worry, and I wish there was, maybe I'll try find out in the next few days, there's going to be children out there who the parents can't afford Christmas presents. So I think we need to find out what we can do to help those families in the next week and a half before we break for Christmas. Now, one of Australia's biggest banks has slapped another fee on customers. This has outraged everyone today, charging $3 each time people want to withdraw their own money from a branch, a post office or by phone. This is CommBank. David, this seems insanity, this continual paying to take out cash.
You can understand why people want to have easy access to cash in this day and age because of transaction fees and the like. I got a briefing from the Commonwealth Bank this afternoon on this issue. They say that there'll be exemptions for a lot of pensioners and people that have, I think, $2,000 coming into their account every month. So most wage earners will be exempt. And of course, people can feel free to shop around as well if they don't like it.
If people even know how to go through the process of getting that exemption, sitting on hold for hours at a time. None of this is easy.
Yeah, this is true. But yeah, it's the issue we face now. My barber only accepts cash because he's had enough with these transaction fees.
Yeah, cost businesses a lot.
Yeah, it's really frustrating for businesses as well. So this is why people are drawn to cash. I hope it doesn't create any issues for the most vulnerable as well, as we talk about those pensioners in particular who might not know how to use an ATM. But I think through these changes today, I think Commonwealth Bank ATMs will still be able to be accessed free of charge for their customers.
James, you're starting to do the rounds. I mentioned before that you've just been pre-selected as a Liberal candidate for Mackellar, Bronwyn Bishop's old seat. We just had her on the show. You're trying to knock off the Teal. Is this one of the issues that you're finding matters to people when you're door knocking?
Yeah, thanks, Sharri. And it's a great honour to be stepping up in the seat where Bronwyn Bishop was a member for so long and she's still so loved by the community here. Pensioners, as David mentioned, are the ones who use cash the most. And a lot of them haven't moved into the world of internet banking. They like to go to a branch. They like to be able to get cash once a month across the teller counter and use that to pay their expenses. So this is another challenge for them to navigate. It's another hit on top of the surcharges that we're seeing. All of this adds up and creates pressure. I mean, the people I'm talking to are telling me that there is a lot going on beneath the surface at the moment, a lot of financial stress beneath the surface. And on the Northern Beaches, you've only got to look at the areas where people park their secondhand cars for sale on Pittwater and Barrenjoey roads. Those queues of cars for sale are much longer than I've ever seen them. And that shows you people can't afford to run that second car. They can't keep the groceries, the school fees, all of that going at once.
Yeah, it's all a lot. It all adds up, petrol prices as well. Now, let's turn to Queensland now, because we're seeing human rights groups are trying to stop the newly elected Premier, David Crisafulli, from implementing his adult crime, adult time laws. These groups are claiming that it's going to clog up the justice system. I mean, David, surely, of all issues, he has a mandate to ignore these groups on this particular issue when youth crime is such a problem in Queensland.
Yeah, and Sharri, if it's going to clog up the prisons and youth detention centres, build more, don't weaken the laws to accommodate that. I see the UN have criticised these laws as being inhumane. This is, of course, the same UN that has Russia sitting on the Security Council. A few years ago in Queensland, there was a young couple expecting their first child that were tragically killed by a drunk driver, juvenile driver on drugs, a long list of offences in his history. He'll be released soon. The maximum sentence they could provide was 10 years.
That's
but
appalling.
He'll be out sooner than that. There is a strong case for these laws. Crisafulli has a mandate. They should be implemented, and he needs to stand firm.
Indeed. James, before you go, I just want to get your, as former RSL president, I want to get your feedback on what you think of Albanese's response to the Royal Commission yesterday.
Yeah, look, Sharri, I'm a Liberal candidate for office, so I'll bag the government all day long about how it's letting the Defence Force slide and leaving us unprepared. But on this, I do want to say that I think it's being taken seriously on a bipartisan basis. I've personally seen the commitment of Minister Matt Keogh on this issue, and I've seen the commitment of the Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, Alison Frame, who I think is doing a good job. Barnaby Joyce, our spokesman, himself a veteran, has been tireless on this too. I mean, this Royal Commission, as you know, because you were there with me fighting for it a number of years ago, convincing the Morrison government to step up and investigate this issue was a long time coming. The issues are really complex. Some of the steps we've seen implemented today will take a long time to change the system, but the change is happening and the problem's been acknowledged. And I think most importantly, the veterans who were suffering and their families have been heard and recognised, and that will go a long way to addressing this chronic problem.
Yeah, it's a long time coming, but yes, as you say, it's going to take a long time for these issues to be properly addressed. All right. Thank you both so much. Dave Hughes, James Brown, great to see you both.